Snapchat will no longer promote President Trump's account under its Discover tab, which typically features content from newsmakers. The decision is in line with Twitter's approach in the debate over political speech, while Facebook has taken no action at this point. Sarah Fisher, Axios media reporter and the first to have yesterday's Snapchat news, and CFRA Vice President of Equity Research John Freeman is here. Maybe we can figure out what to do with these stocks based on what they're doing. But I'll start with you, Sarah. I guess I shouldn't have an opinion on these things, but I have to tell you I admire Mark Zuckerberg, but I'm wondering how long he can hold out from pressure from within his own company, from woke employees, and just where they operate and what the media is going to say about him for not jumping on the bandwagon with some of these more woke social media firms. Do you think he can stick to his position?
It's going to be very hard. Look, you have civil rights groups that are putting out statements condemning Mark Zuckerberg. Now you're seeing a lot of his rivals take action that he's uncomfortable taking. And so what Mark Zuckerberg needs to weigh is, how does he compromise his long-term vision for Facebook, which is being a platform for free speech for world leaders and everyday people, when his biggest rivals are taking the exact opposite action? And to your point, Joe, there's a lot of conservatives who might feel uncomfortable with what some of these tech platforms are doing. We had statements yesterday of people saying they felt uncomfortable with what Snapchat was doing, with what Twitter is doing. It's going to be a long battle ahead for Facebook if they want to maintain this position.
Sarah, I remember when someone said alternate facts, and it was very funny that they used that term. But I think about what President Xi might say. And then I think about, pick your world leader, what they might say about something. And then you got President Trump, who we know says some stuff that, I don't know, is mail voting absolutely free of fraud? Do we know that for sure? When Adam Schiff says something, do we know for sure what he said? When do we decide? Don't we need to decide? Do you want that guy at Twitter? I've seen some of his other tweets earlier. Do you want him deciding what I'm allowed to see? I mean, isn't this problematic?
I think that they're trying to take a middle-of-the-road approach. Look, they're not taking down the accounts, and they're not making the tweets entirely invisible or the posts or the accounts on Snapchat entirely invisible. But what they're doing is they're saying, look, we're going to warn our users that we personally, as a company, disagree with some of the content that they post. Now, of course, that's a subjective decision. But here's how I would urge you to think about it, Joe. I don't think that some of the things that the president has tweeted have resulted in, major
escalations.
But in other countries around the world where these platforms operate, they have.
Yeah.
Think about how the military leaders in Myanmar, systematically use Facebook to operate genocide against the Rohingya population.
Yeah.
That's an example where these platforms are going to have to take a line.
Well,
and so when you see them taking action on President Trump, think about it in the sense, too, that they're trying to make sure that they enforce all of their policies globally and don't neglect to enforce them just in the place where they're based.
Oh, you're fair-minded, Sarah. There's a lot of people that I see on Twitter all the day that say that Trump is much worse than the people in Myanmar. But that's what I mean. How do you? It's the wild, wild west in social media, and I don't know if we really want to start deciding who's crazier than someone else, because it's tough. Anyway, John, I mean, I would worry about maybe Facebook stock because of this. I don't know what finally happens. I mean, it matters PR-wise how the company handles it. What do you do with the stock?
Yeah, well, the business, I mean, the stock has there's just a tremendous amount of operating leverage in that business. And, with COVID-19, I think, a lot of people sheltering at home. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why the fundamentals are actually, looking really good, over the next couple of years. But you're right. I mean, I think you also have to, weigh there's an election coming up. So there might be a change of tide in terms of, who gets favored in what. So are these guys having to play the election a little bit, or at least hedge their bets? I definitely think that's probably something that's going on, but I think it also reflects their personalities too, besides the business part of it.
Do you have a preference for the way some of these different companies are approaching things, John? What would you do?
I actually think that the different ways of approaching it it's kind of like a game, sort of a game theory kind of thing. I mean, if Facebook is gonna, censor, right, then maybe Twitter goes a little more open, right? So there's a lot of gamesmanship and there's a lot of analysis about, what the right strategy is. But at the end of the day, Mark Zuckerberg detests elitism. That's why he founded Facebook, right? You saw the network effect, right? You saw the movie. Didn't get into a final club at Harvard, so he wanted a platform where everybody could be friends, right? And I think there was some sort of righteous anger about that. And I think it's translated to some degree. The social elitism, anti-social elitism, is translated to anti-political elitism, and I think that's one way to play it. And, and sort of one strategy, and there'll be users that'll be more attracted to that, and then other users, right, who will be more attracted to the Snapchat or Twitter approach.